don't make us who we are. So I'll dream until I make it real, and all I see is.
Hi guys, welcome to Mentorship Mondays or Tuesdays or Wednesdays or Thursdays or Fridays or
Sorry.
Saturdays, whatever. It's Mentorship Week with Marin and Michelle, Michelle and Marin. Um, so hopefully you're enjoying these little behind the scenes episodes that we're doing and giving you a little sneak peek into our conversations before we put on the episodes. So today, Marin, what's up? What are we doing today? What are we going to talk about today?
Hi. Okay, so every time I look at the clock, I see 4:44.
Mhm.
Or 11:11. I always do catch 11:11 still, but like the past 2 weeks, it's been 4:44. Even like I was opening the door and I had my phone in my hand like this, and I was like pushing the door open, and it caught my eye, and it was 4:44. And I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot get away from 4:44. So and then I was watching a TV show about like universal numbers and stuff. And I was like, universal numbers, that's such a good show or topic.
Mhm.
And it goes with the Oracle cards that we did last week.
Yeah. Yes.
So I thought
Yeah.
that we could
Yeah.
do 4:44.
Right. So, so numbers. So what I'm going to say about numbers is a couple things. So numbers and shapes, particularly numbers, mathematics, is what makes up the universe. They are. This is what life is all about. Between
Kids
cats
are trying to
behind
get in my
me,
office. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
says this. I'm in my basement, so what's going on is all upstairs. Anyway, but so uh, numbers are they are the formula of the universe. There's so many. Did I mention? I can't remember if I mentioned this last week or not. I kind of think I did, so I could be repeating myself. But when we were talking about Tesla, and I talked about this in my class that I did last summer, how the numbers 369 are manifesting numbers, and how Tesla would use the numbers 369 to manifest. And he would, it was like a formula because there is power and everything in the universe boils down to these numbers 369. And he figured this out. And like he would do things like before he'd go in for an interview somewhere, he'd walk around a building 3 times, and
Really?
yes, yes. So
Wow.
you guys can, I won't go on about that particular subject, but if you guys research the power of 369 with Tesla's theory, you're
Write
gonna
that
you're
down.
gonna see what that means with manifestation and why those numbers are important. Now, when it comes to universal numbers and to what they mean in our life, a universal number. So there's a couple of reasons why these numbers show up. One is that numbers like 111, 333, 444, 222, just like signs from spirit, these messages that we get universally, whether they be from a loved one, from our guides, ourselves, because we're projecting an energy. There's like a how do I explain it? Uh, okay, so I'm going to use cardinals as an example. Cardinal is a common sign for a loved one. So when somebody sees a cardinal and that shows up, that's like, okay, I know that cardinals mean spirit. Why is it a cardinal? Well, there's reasons why a cardinal is actually the bird, but I'm saying why does that keep being something that shows up for so many people? Because some people say, oh yeah, cardinal, like okay, everybody gets a cardinal. But there's a power to our belief, right? To the energy that we project. So when there's a large amount of people that have belief in something, there's like an energetic highway. There's a big passageway, and the universe, spiritual energy can use that to give a message. So that's why these are all universal symbols, universal numbers. There's a great amount of energy that has been projected into that symbol, into that sign, into whatever that is. And it's known all over the place as a meaning, as having a purpose. But then you want to take it one step further into your life. So you're seeing 444. Well, 444 can mean different things depending on what is going on for you. So, I could see 444 and see that as a confirmation of love within my family. I could see that as getting assistance with my family, depending on what's going on in my life. Somebody else could see that as abundance, as financial abundance coming in, because there are, it's positive. And that's the thing. These numbers are positive. The universal message is it's alignment. Things are going to be all right. Things are okay. You're on the right track. That's what a lot of these numbers mean. But then we can break it down individually. Yes, you can Google it and find out meanings, because a lot of times when doing that, there's been somebody that's researched that number and vibrationally connected a message to it. So there's going to be another way of applying that to yourself if you want to. But the very best way to see how that means to you is, what are you thinking about? What have you been asking for? You know, what's going on in your life? What do you feel that you are getting reassurance for? Because it does have a message. And when you're repeating it and seeing it over and over and over, there's two things that are happening. One is the law of attraction. When you notice something and it creates that vibration, you're going to notice that again, again, and again. It still is delivering the same message, that confirmation. So when you see it, you say, oh, I see that. I know everything is all right. Thank you very much. Thank you, my angels. And particularly having your angels give you that message. So I know that you are asking for confirmation from them. So that's particularly what they're showing me is the number 444 with angel wings. They're showing that right now.
You know what is so crazy? The connector to the angels. You're sitting in your chair right now and you have this like fringe. And I thought, oh my gosh, she looks like an angel.
My angel wings. My
They
angel
are.
wings. Yeah. If only I could make them flap. But yeah, like they're showing me the angel
That is-
wings to it.
Well,
And
you said, because you said, like, what are your intentions? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to really, because I was asking questions. And now, and after last episode, I've ordered my Oracle cards. And so I'm going to pull my Oracle, I'm going to journal every morning, pour my Oracle cards. And then I should have and I try to do this, an intention of the day. Normally it's just like, be happy, be present, be loving, give healing, you know, that kind of a thing. But if I think deeper, what have I really been doing? Connecting with angels. Like I'm on this new journey to connect with angels. And then the 444 and you're seeing with angel wings. I love it.
Yeah, so that's the confirmation that, and I think I was saying to you a minute ago about that being a group energy. Well, what is the angelic energy? It is a group energy.
Oh my gosh. And can I tell you the one thing, I don't know how this is going to show. I saw on Instagram that I screenshotted because I loved it so much was it says, when someone says you in what army? And it's like a whole bunch of angels.
That's exactly it.
I'm like totally connecting to it.
See, so like
and I don't even know it.
And that's the thing, when you start to look, like the fabric of everything is everywhere.
Wow.
Like it will support you, and how could you not believe in that support? When you're able to physically and tangibly hold it and see it and understand it. So and other things like 111, that's often saying that, you know, there's something that's about to happen, a new beginning, positivity, like don't worry, you're on the right track. Things are about to change, or what you're looking for is about to happen. It's being in alignment. Each one of these numbers has to do with alignment. Seeing 555 is often initiating change. So there's some change coming in your life. You see that. It also can mean financial abundance. So seeing 544 or 445 is financial growth or some change. It can sometimes mean a material change, like changing from one situation to another. And so there can be some sort of a adjustment period that needs to happen. What other numbers? 222 can often be applied to relationships, duality. So when we see two, everything, we have duality in everything. when we see the number 222, you want to really think about what's going on in your life at that moment. And that's really the big thing is every number that I'm giving you and the meaning that I'm applying to it, that's a general, right? It's a general meaning to these numbers, but you really want to go in deeper to what does that mean to you? And if you see that number reoccurring for you, then ask, can you show me what that's connected to if you don't know? But generally you will know. And
You can
you'll
be like
always
me and you're saving Instagram photos of angels, you're trying to connect to angels, you're getting angel number signs
yeah.
444, and you still have no idea.
Well, but you do though. But you
I
do.
mean, once you put it together, I'm like, oh, it makes
Yeah.
100%
Yeah.
sense.
You
Yeah.
do. And sometimes you need to do that to put it together. You know, it's not everything's not always completely obvious, but the more you work with it, like anything else, because it's the law of cause and effect, the law of attraction, the more you work with it, the more it will come to you. The more you say thank you, I understand, then the deeper the information will come, you know. And it's you also want to balance that with your own free will as well, because there's a can be a little bit of a challenge with going down the rabbit hole with numbers and those sorts of things, because they're there to guide, just like guidance of any kind, just like spiritual guidance and connecting with your guides. They're there to offer guidance. These numbers are there for guidance. They're signposts. They're there to help show you your way. But remember that the true power is within you. The power is within you to make the decisions, to use your free will choice to accept or reject the guidance that you get. And that's really important that everybody understands that, because when you feel that universally you're being shown something, and let's say your mind is in a negative place, you're going to tend to see that as something fearful, as a sign of
Mhm.
something. So, for example, if somebody is really in a space where they're having a hard time with change, or they're fearing changes that they know are coming up or could come up. So every sign that they see is like, oh my God, like this is about to happen, or something bad's going to happen. So you want to keep yourself really present and, you know, understand that what happens to us and the signs that we get are not there to scare us. They're there to support us, always to support us. And there's a very beautiful supportive energy behind it, but you have to allow yourself to connect to that.
Yeah.
And also remember that you are in control. You're the
Yeah.
one that's incarnate right now.
Yeah.
You're in control of your messages, your journey, everything else that comes in, or not messages, your the guidance that you take in.
Yeah.
And anyway, that obviously just came in as something that somebody's going to need to hear, because that just kind of flew on out.
Well, and talk it through
Yeah.
too, because I got some advice this week where it kind of initially scared me,
Hmm.
but then as I talked it through, then I was able to see the loving
Hmm.
message
Hmm.
and not take the
Exactly. Yeah.
negative of that.
Because a lot of what we get too, like we may not always be getting this direct kind of communication. So, you know, we could be getting images, or we might just get a little piece of something. And if we're in a place where we're unsure about something in our life, that can, like, we can easily roll with that fear. And that's not,
Yeah.
you know, that's just human. That's, we all have to realize that we've got these parts of us that, you know, we're continuously just need to be aware of, and to choose. You know, you always have a choice which part of you you're going to roll with. But, you know, if you hear, or say you get an image of somebody jumping off a cliff, that doesn't mean, like, so we're going to look at this two ways. This is Eric's image. Okay, Eric's giving this. We've got a cliff, someone's jumping off a cliff. Well, you could look at it as one way is, oh my God, somebody's about to do something terrible. Like, I'm being given this image and I happen to live near a cliff. So I need to watch out because somebody's going to hurt themselves. Or you could be launching yourself into something completely unknown, and you're being given the it's okay. Take that
Take the
leap,
jump.
right?
Yeah.
So there's different ways. So that's just a really um uh a simple example of something physical and something metaphorical. Um, but yeah, talk it through. Eric says to write it out.
Oh yeah, that's
write
good.
it out and write out your feelings, because he says, what if that's right. He says there's no mistake in anything that you're getting, and what if you're getting something to give you the opportunity to work through the fear, right? So there's never a wrong way of reacting, because every way that we react gives us opportunity to then work through it and then change the direction, transmute it.
I love that. Well,
Yeah.
I just feel too often we get a feeling that comes through us that's a bad feeling, and we just go, close that door. And
Mm-hmm.
then that's how we get stuck energy and physical ailments and anxiety and depression. And so if that symbol does trigger some of those emotions, journal about it. Maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
helping you to get that energy out and release that
Right.
energy. Yeah,
Because
that's beautiful. That's a
the
great
only
advice.
way that we can work through something is if we give ourselves the opportunity to have the acceptance that it's something that we have fear over,
Yeah.
right? We have to be able to bring that energy in front of us and say, this is how I feel today. This is where it is today. And say, okay, well, why? Why do you feel that? What are you worried about? I'm worried about that because this is what's happened in the past, and then you take that and you say, well, does that mean what's happening in the past is going to continue to happen? Is thinking into this fear going to help that? Or is it going to work against me? It's really going through that and getting to the bottom of maybe something that when you face it energetically, when you look at it energetically, it's not so scary.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times Eric says the fear that we build up around something is far worse than what the actual thing is. And so when we can allow ourselves to play with it energetically, and he says, and no, playing with something energetically does not mean you're going to manifest it. He says it's different because the intention is different. Because he says that some people are thinking, well, I don't want to do that because if I start to think about it and go into it, then am I creating that for myself in my reality? And he says, no, not at all. Because what is the intention? The intention is that you're not playing with the fear, as in trying to push it away and roll with it and keep kind of obsessing through something or thinking about it. That's very different than using the intention of, I'm going to sit down and work through this. I'm going to allow myself to feel this. I'm going to meditate into this. Because the purpose of doing that, the intention of doing that, is to release it, not to keep it. You just had a big flash. If you can see clairvoyantly, if anybody can see, if you look around right at this point, a few seconds before, there was on your right hand side of like energy
This
sparkle.
right hand side.
Yeah, sparkle.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, very cool.
It's my angels.
Yeah, it is, and they're just Eric says it's your army.
Oh.
It's your army. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he says they continuously whisper encouragement into your ear.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. And so he says for each one of us, we all have an army of angels. And when we can relax, when we can breathe and hold on to that energy, we will all have the experience of hearing that encouragement in our ear.
Wow.
Yeah. Wise today, Eric. Wise ass. Wise ass this. But what else? So what else did you want to know about?
What? Okay, so a lot of times the things that we get are symbols.
Mhm.
Are there like are the messages have symbols to them that we were talking about and that might scare you? Are there like really good, last time you told us Joanne's angels, sorry, no,
Mhm.
my son's in my
Mhm.
window. Joanne's
Sacred scribes.
Oracle,
Joanne's
Joanne's Sacred
sacred
Scribe.
scribes. Yeah.
That's where you go to look up numbers.
Yes.
Is there a place you go to look up like, oh, I saw a dog, or I saw a horse, or I saw this? Do that, or do you just
It depends on what it is. So, for example, I had an experience this week. So my husband Rob, I know you know this, but for anybody who doesn't know, he has prostate cancer. And so on Thursday, he had to go for a biopsy and dissection. So he, because COVID is still, like, our hospitals here are still under COVID restriction. So I can only go in so far with him, and they don't like you hanging out in the hospitals or anything else like that. So once I got him in there and set up, I went and parked. And I thought, well, that's really interesting. I said, I think I'm gonna look up some podcasts or something that I don't get very much downtime. So I thought I'll just kind of relax here and listen to a podcast. Well, what popped up in my audios was Eric's book
Oh,
popped up. And I look and it's on the screen
you're
of my
like, I
truck.
can't get away from you, Eric.
No, it's like right on the screen of my truck. And it's funny because I had been listening to that a long time ago because I lent out the books that I had gotten years ago. And I picked it up on audiobook because I wanted to listen to it now after, all of these
Yeah.
years with Eric. I wanted to see how different it felt or what came to me. So I was like, okay, obviously Eric wants me to listen to that. So there must be something in there for me. So I just kind of tilted my seat back and I was listening to it. I had my eyes closed and I could hear like movement at the side door on the passenger door of my truck. And I thought for a brief second it was Rob getting in the truck. I thought, boy, that was really quick. And then I'm thinking, how would he know where I parked? Like this is happening in a matter of seconds in my head. And I look and there's a blue jay. Okay.
Oh my
A
goodness.
great big blue jay. And when I mean, like, he was like a cartoon character, he was so big, sitting on my passenger mirror, looking directly in at me with his head tilted like this.
Wow.
And like, I wanted to take a photo so bad, but I could not move. Like, I was like, my phone was down here on the seat, and I was like, oh my God, I want to take a picture of you so bad. Like, nobody's going to believe this blue jay is sitting this close at me looking this way.
Yeah.
But in a matter of seconds, then he flew away.
Right.
And I was like, I knew that that was a message,
Yeah.
and so what I got right away was that, like, Rob's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. And so, of course, I Googled the blue jay, and in not so many words, there was all kinds of other things that I saw in it too, but it said a messenger from God that everything's going to be okay, healing and all that stuff. So,
I feel that.
yeah, and I did,
Yeah.
but it was such a beautiful, like, and I had felt that Eric had told me that everything was going to be okay, but it's kind of like you face things as they come up, or that's how I've trained myself since I had my cancer, is I no longer will go to all of the what ifs, but as moments come to you and you're in them, you feel them, So I did allow myself to go to what if something happens? What if, this is his
Yeah.
second bout with cancer. I'm like, what would I do? And I
Yeah.
kind of went through some of those thoughts. So that was a really amazing little symbol and moment that I had to give me that confirmation and just it was beautiful. It was just an amazing experience. But so is there a specific site that I go to for that? No. It's very random and I'm just drawn to, like, sometimes it'll be like 4 things down. It's just I might be drawn to a certain picture or something. So again, that's one of those moments where when we see something and we have a moment with nature like that, birds and a lot of nature, animals in nature are messengers from God, messenger from source, however you want, the universe. Um, I had another experience a couple months back where a hawk had landed in an intersection, and I probably told this one before too. I always feel like I've already told these stories, but a hawk landed in the intersection. I was like the second car up to the traffic light, and this hawk landed, and there was no traffic coming the other way. We were out at the stoplight. This hawk lands right down by my door, like right here with his wings spread right up and looks up at me. And I'm like, what? Like of all, like right in the road, like right there
That's
looking
so
at me.
abnormal.
Very
Yeah.
abnormal.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful big hawk. And I'm just like, that is really weird. And that was following the time where, and I posted pictures of this on my Instagram with that bird. And
Yes.
and I was looking at the Hawaiian plant, the spirit plant, and this bird comes out of nowhere and lands on my head and wouldn't leave me. Would not leave me. There was so many other people in that garden and like it walking around with the flowers, and that bird was not interested in anybody else. It wanted me, and it was freaking me out a little bit because it would start to dive bomb me. And like, and I'm like, "Okay, this is crazy." And when my mom and I got back into our vehicle, she says, "What does that mean?" And I said, "That's Eric." I said, "That's Eric playing with me. Not that Eric's the bird, but it's the energy."
Yeah,
I said,
he's
I could feel Eric there, and I'm like,
mhm.
I said, but it's just a little note from spirit." And I said, um, the energy that came to me shortly afterwards was my grandmother, and my grandmother being in the garden with us. And then we started to connect the dots with the flower and all the reasons, which I won't get into of why it makes sense. But we turned the Ghost Rider on, and Eric's symbol comes up, the blue comes up, and it it says bird, and then the next one, pecking.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah. My mom's like, "Boy, you can't miss that, can you?" I'm like, "No." Yeah, so it
That's
was a very,
unbelievable.
I
That is
know.
so cool.
It's hard to, like, even repeating it back, it's like that is so incredibly unusual, these things that continue to happen. But my whole life, unusual things have always happened like that.
Mhm.
But I just, like, I would know, but I'd be like, why do these things always happen? Like, what is going on? But the more you pay attention to it, the more these things will come and speak to you. And whether it be the birds or signs or letters and
Mhm.
spirit directing, it's like, I'm sure you've had this where it's like you turned and looked at something and you know that you were kind of directed to look at it at the right
Yeah.
time.
Oh, well, I had a podcast and story for this week. I was listening to this podcast of a famous medium, and she was giving advice to like young mediums,
Yeah.
and it like really resonated with me. And then I got out of my car, and this butterfly just went, and I
Oh,
was like, I
yeah.
know.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Butterflies are good ones. Butterflies are beautiful. I had an experience where there was like a challenging situation that I had in my life with somebody, and I knew that things were changing. Um, I knew there was a really big life change that was happening. And it was so amazing because my husband and I were sitting there talking, and this, like, I call it like a little swarm of butterflies, like a little group of monarch butterflies, all kind of flew through us. And
Wow.
that's transformation, right?
Yeah.
Growth and transformation. And the butterfly, too, for you, with all the other signs and the messages you were getting, is showing that growth and transformation is taking place. Very positive transformation. So that's pretty amazing. And it all works with our vibration.
Mm-hmm.
All of this is all part of what the vibration that we're giving off and welcoming those messages in. And, if you feel like, well, that never happens to me, or I don't see those things, then remember that vibration works off of our subconscious. So if we're consciously saying, I want those signs, and I what the subconscious belief is saying, it never happens to me, that I never have that, or it only happens to other people. I never notice those things. That's the vibration that's going out to the universe, so you don't notice it. It's not, you're not
Yes.
vibing with that
I was
energy.
so I remember the first time someone was like, it's 11:11, make a wish. I was like, what in the world? What does that mean? They're like, oh, or like that means the angels are here or something like that. I was like, what are you guys talking about? Like, literally, I thought, signs and numbers just had no bearing on life. And now that I'm open to the energy, it is like, this is unreal how much comes at me on a daily basis that
Yeah.
is symbolic and has 100% meaning in my day.
Yeah. It's
So,
crazy. It's crazy. It's a
it
lot
is
of
really
fun though too.
so fun.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's a lot of fun because you
definitely.
can play all kinds of games.
Well, and I just feel like every time I see it, there's someone with me, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being
Yes.
here and supporting me. Whatever
Yeah.
the message is, like
Yeah.
I know someone's trying to give it to me, and so thank you.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
And that really is such a big part of it. It's, we're not alone.
yeah,
We're not alone. Even when we feel that we are, we're really not,
yeah,
and so it's that confirmation of that. And if you're experiencing life right now that does not feel like that's going on, or you are feeling alone, um, you know, play a little game with the universe
hmm
and really trust it. Like, what have you got to lose?
hmm
You know, if you're at that point where you just need to know that you're not alone, then surrender. Surrender the why not me, or why does this never happen to me, and just completely let go and trust it, because you've got nothing to lose. And sometimes that's the point that we get to be able to open those doors and welcome that into our life. But no, it's a really fun topic, and there's a lot of really, I mean, we could go into so much with it, because messages and signs and symbols, and they come off of everything, even license plates.
yeah,
There's all kinds of messages. When we were on the way to the hospital with Rob, we were following a license plate number, and the end numbers was 111. And
wow,
I said to Rob, I said, "You see that right in front of us?" I said, "That 111 is leading you to let you know that this is a new beginning. So you're going to be just fine, and you're going to feel better. And this is your new beginning." And then right after that, there's another license plate. It's 111. So
oh my
it's like
gosh, oh,
confirmation
this
and then
next week was so
confirmation.
good.
Mhm,
Yes,
mhm.
it's not
Yeah,
chance. Oh,
no,
I love it.
no. And he's walking through this one very different than when he had kidney cancer. um it was a different atmosphere. Like, he was still okay, and Rob is a very what he shows can be very different than what's going on inside of him. But I noticed a very big difference in him this time than when kidney cancer, I think, was 3 years ago now. And it was coming out. His fear would come out in frustration, and it would come up in being very short tempered and that sort of thing. And Rob is a very easygoing guy. So when he's got no patience for anybody, something's going on. But this time it's very different. He's got more confidence. He's looked at it as, if there's something that I can't do anything about, and if that's the direction it goes, then that's where it goes. And he's left that alone. And that doesn't mean that he gives up in any way. That just means that he's at a point of surrender. But he also has experience of walking through it before. I think he learned a lot from what he went through in the past. And there's been a lot of his own releasing, because Rob deals with things very differently than I do. And even though the two of us have a lot of common beliefs, um, there's been a lot he's watched me go through that's taught him. Because there was one time where he'd say, like, I don't know what to believe, Michelle. I know that what I'm seeing happen to you is, like, it's real. I can see it,
Yeah,
but I'm not sure what to believe. To him leaving his own body, and to astral traveling,
wow,
to him hearing spirits speak in his own ears.
wow,
And like, so he's had his own experiences, and it's gone past us into our parents, into his family and experiences that they're having.
wow,
And, so that whole energy has shifted in our families. This is it's made things so that when we go through these things, because that's life, we can get into all the reasons why that's something that we're experiencing right now. But when we go through these challenges, we know that we're supported. We can't not know that we're supported. because it shows up in so many different ways, whether it be through our family, whether it be through the universe, you know, through our own personal connections, and just with what we've been through together, that amount of faith and trust that's been built just is like, no matter what, I know we're going to be okay. You know, and that's a very comforting way to walk through any challenge. Because life
Mm-hmm.
doesn't take away the challenges. You know, like the more that we grow spiritually, we don't all of a sudden just say nothing bad ever happens to me and I'm always good and I'm always happy. It's the trust of the experience and how we lean on the universe, how we lean on our higher power and work with the guidance, is that we walk through it in a more expansive way. So we may still be having these things occur that some people would look at and go, "Oh my God, like that's awful." And it's not a very nice experience, but at the same time, when you focus on what it's gifting you, when you can go in that place from that bigger picture, you walk through it much nicer.
Mm-hmm.
And you walk through the gratitude of it
Mm-hmm.
and the gifts of it. And that just changes everything. So I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. And I've said before, however, this got into this whole topic about cancer and everything else, like all these happy topics, but I've said before, I am grateful for having my cancer experience. Very
Yeah.
grateful, because it not only knocked me over the head to make some major changes in my life, but it gifted me the courage to be able to be myself. It gifted me the courage to be able to stand up and no longer stand in the background and do what I thought other people wanted me to do,
Yes,
but
I
to
love
be
that.
myself. Yeah. And that's the greatest gift I could have ever had from myself, my family, and what I do. Yeah. So there, I feel like hitting some drums now. Boom,
I
boom.
know. No, beautiful like harp chimes or something. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story. And I'm going to be praying for Rob, and I
Thank you.
hope that he makes it through this.
Yes.
Well, I
Yeah.
know obviously he is because
Yeah.
Eric said, but I mean,
Yeah.
I hope he makes it through with,
Yeah.
just ease and
Thank you. You know, we're supposed to find out, they said from 2 to 3 weeks from now, we'll find out what his, like the next steps, like more
yeah.
surgery. Like he is going to need more surgery, but will it just be surgery? Will he need chemo and radiation or any of that stuff? So we find out those steps coming up. But for right now, he feels pretty good, and
Good.
he's been a little under the weather, and I've taken a lot of time off work in the last little while because just with Marcus and care and all of that stuff. So
Mhm.
um so for anybody who's like waiting for all of their questions and all other things, I'm getting to it eventually. I promise. I'm very backed up. So
Rightfully so.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So I'm working through it as
yes.
best I can.
Yeah.
So I appreciate
Yes.
everybody's patience for
Well,
sure.
thank you for giving us so much when you're going through so much yourself too.
Oh,
I
it's
really
it's
appreciate it.
it makes me feel good to give. It does, because it's, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's I think that this is what helps keep me sane a lot of
Mhm.
times. It's the
Feels
being
so
able
good
to be,
talking about it. Like I just feel like I'm covered in a warm blanket right now. Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like it
yeah,
just feels so good to talk about.
yeah.
So
It does.
I can
It
see
does.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's important to talk about. I mean, it, these are hard things to talk about, and
Mhm.
it's obviously not only us that goes through these things, but
Mhm.
they are hard things. And my hope is what we go through, um, and what we're doing here together, you and I, Marin, is like this topic of mentorship. That yes, it's spirit communication and mediumship, but there's so much more that
Mhm.
goes into it,
And it's all
and it's
connected.
all connected. And so everything that we go through in our life, um, my work is directly connected to what I'm experiencing,
Mhm.
and that it will always reflect. And that's something that I make it very clear. If I am unwell, if I am not well, or there's something going on, I am the tool for this work.
Mhm.
And so if I'm not well, I won't be doing a channeling for somebody. I won't be connecting. And that's my rule because I feel that for me, that if I'm not my best, then I'm not going to be doing the best for that person. So I don't want one person to get the best of me and another person to get this short end of the stick of me,
Mhm.
and that can be hard, but the way that Eric has always explained it to me is that, there's a purpose for everything. So if there's something that is changed or an appointment that is changed, it will always work out to be the way it needs to be. And it's so fascinating because there's been so many times where something will get adjusted for somebody and we'll come back and then that day something had occurred over that week for that person that wouldn't have been brought up or we wouldn't have
Oh,
gone through.
yeah.
Like there's all these little things that can
Yeah.
come into play that, it reminds me that it's
Yeah.
okay. Because it took me a while to get over that because I didn't like disappointing people,
Yeah.
but it's all that care for the self. So it's all connected, the care for ourselves, our family, and this work and connection with spirit. It comes from our being. We are the tool. We're the oracle cards. We're the pendulum. We're it's us. So taking care of this vessel and making sure that we are giving ourselves also the self-care. Because another thing that Eric is mentioning to me right now is to say that self-care is not a luxury. Self-care is mandatory. And self-care is different for everyone. And sometimes it is saying no. And sometimes it's going to bed. And sometimes it's taking a couple of days off. And sometimes it's
That
Mhm,
is what I want to talk about next
mhm,
week. Actually, I wanted to talk about boundaries and things like that. As I
good
feel as
one.
empaths, we
Mhm.
really have a hard time with that.
That's a good one. That's
Mhm.
an excellent, and that will be a full topic for that one
Mhm.
because that's one of my favorite topics. Because
Mhm.
boundaries is what,
Saying no.
yeah, boundaries is what made me kickstart that self-empowerment and made
Yeah.
all the changes. So that's a good one. So we'll do that next time. So do you have
Okay.
anything else you think we're wrapped up for today, huh?
That's it. It was beautiful. I love it. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. What turned into numbers turned into it's so much more.
So much
So much
more.
more.
Yes.
Always does. All right, take care, guys. Thanks for hanging out once again, and we will see you next week on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, or
Or
Saturday.
Saturday. Sounds good.
All
Thank you,
right, take
everyone.
care. Bye, everybody.
Bye.